So recently, I've found myself with a lot more free time. I was looking for a new game to play, something fresh, so when I decided on replaying Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones for the Game Boy Advance with this newfound time, I hadn't realised how many hours I'd be saying goodbye to. Now, if you've been watching the channel for a few years and you're aware of my age, you know I'm part of the Fallen Kingdom generation. I was 4 when this game came out in 2005, and I grew up with Mario Kart DS. If you know, you know. The Sacred Stones is the complete opposite of the games I gravitate towards. I'm not the biggest fan of turn-based strategies, I don't play anything anime related, and I'm indifferent to fantasy settings. So when I love it enough to make a video about it, you know there's something special about this game. It plays like a regular RPG. Your squad is built from classes that gain experience and levels by fighting, plus stat bonuses from dropped charms. There's a rock paper scissors weapon system. Swords beat axes, axes beat lances, and lances beat swords. Magic units fight with an analogous system, and these two groups make up the bulk of the game. However, I can't really explain the experience of the Sacred Stones from mechanics alone. It runs deceptively deep, from the impressive pacing of the attack animations, enemy recruitment options, unexplained attributes like luck, and weapon proficiency, all on top of terrain characteristics like fog, which affects line of sight, and pillars, which affect your dodge chance. While you are gifted an ace unit at the start in Seth, a paladin, you must train up your weaker fighters in order to stand a chance in the later chapters. The game feels old school in this sense. There is a lot left to learn from failure. Some units are intrinsically worse than others no matter what you do, and there are several insane difficulty spikes depending on which mid-game route you take. Earlier I mentioned growing up with MKDS and Fallen Kingdom, so you can probably guess the Game Boy was before my time. I found Sacred Stones via the Nintendo 3DS Ambassador program, which allowed you to download several older titles on your handheld. I got to know a lot of fantastic and memorable games like WarioWare Inc., The Minish Cap, and even F-Zero from this scheme. Sacred Stones sucked me in. It's the only Fire Emblem title with a training tower built for grinding XP, and I fondly remember pouring hours into my favourite fighters until they were in the best shape possible before the next onslaught. This kind of endless preparation takes central stage in a game like Sacred Stones. You can see your opponent's items and attack range, making your positioning the be-all and end-all. This mathematical method to survival while the campaign pours enemies towards your squad from every direction makes the game an obsessive, immersive venture that rewards you for overthinking every square of space. Enemies will always attack the weakest unit in their attack range, leading credence to the story dialogue, which constantly harps on how evil and cruel the greater empire and its monsters have become. The game's stubborn desire to make the gravity of the situation real never hits the mark, but after hundreds of enemies defeated, I really began to care about my squad a lot. You see every single fight your units take to get stronger, pay for the weapons they use, watch their idle animations sway back and forward for hours across turns. It's a kind of hypnotic, ethereal environment, and I've never been so engrossed watching my characters talk about their hopes, dreams, and eventual deaths in front of a 240 pixel background. These are called support conversations and serve no purpose other than pure backstory to the characters you've grown to love. The first day I got this game I turned it on, put on some Nujabes, and before I knew it, it was 4 AM and I was still sitting at my desk in a trance, checking and rechecking squares, swimming in concentration. I understand how my friends and I fell in love with it years ago, the satisfaction of a critical hit, the care taken to change the tiles you fight on depending on the terrain. In an industry where immersion has become this marketable ideal synonymous with realism, fighting low-res gargoyles reminds me why I got into video games. It wasn't because of ranks or leaderboards or fancy shaders. It was because I wanted to drive Banshee Boardwalk in under 2 minutes on MKDS time trials, because I could spend time outside of my own head and disappear. I don't think it matters whether you're escaping or holidaying, anything that can pull you out of this world is golden. In a month I'll probably have finished this game and leave it for another 8 years. It is just an RPG for the Game Boy. It doesn't have the longevity of something like weightlifting or other hobbies I spend my time on. But it gave me a similar kind of solitude, and nowadays that sort of thing is in short supply. In short, if it doesn't make you feel like you're drifting in Mario Kart DS, it might not be worth your time.